On this week's edition of Why, we have a Casablanca Panama. This is an XTR Panama from 2005, model 6699F. The F stands for 4-speed. F also means XTR 200 spinner motor. Cast aluminum, about 200-ish by, I want to say 20. It's a big, and I mean big, spinner motor with a 20-degree blade pitch. In this case, short blades. But here's the issue, right? The XTR 200 Panama was brought about as a gimmick. Ooh, steep blade pitch, huge motor. But at the end of the day, the CFM rating was only slightly better over the K55. Only slightly better, so really it wasn't really that much of a performance boost. In other words, the XTR 200 was a fucking gimmick. Alright. It was a joke. Huge motor in the Panama, but it doesn't really do me much better. Like, okay, cool. Like, why? Why did they do that? Thankfully, this silly experiment only lasted until 2006, because in 2007, they dropped the XTR 200 motor, okay, and just made the 4-speed, just made the K55 model 4-speed. And they stuck with that until the end. Alright, so this is a silly gimmick, a silly experiment which didn't really pan out. Okay, so, yeah. So yeah, let's reiterate. This is a Panama, this is an XTR Panama with a huge cast aluminum, skeletal spinner motor. Alright, 20-degree blade pitch with short blades. Now, this is a bit different. Meaning, with short blades, the steep blade pitch might actually do something better, and we'll see how that works. Yeah, so this is a 4-speed pull-chain spinner motor Panama. The motor housing is thicker than the typical K55 Casablanca. It's almost K63 thick. Of course, the Panama never came with a K63, so it's kind of silly, but it's kind of an anachronism in this sort of way. Because Casablanca's early on, when they switched to the K55, the motor housings were still thick up until about 83. Because they still had K63s running through the production line because they were using up what motors they had left. Okay. So, in tandem with the new K55. So the motor housing still had to be thick. Alright, so this is interesting in that sense when you really think about it. So like I said, this one dates to 2005. So, I went to the honey pot, saw 4 of these friggin' things, right? 4 of them. You see, the XTR to me, it's always been a gimmick. Oh, real fart. It's always been a gimmick. So, if I would see these, I would ignore them. Okay. But this one had short blades and was cheap, so I figured, yeah, why the hell not? It's just out of morbid curiosity, essentially. I mean, that's really all it is. Let's put this on low speed. See what it does. So the pull chain sequence is high to low, not low to high. So, So yeah. But, yeah, so I figured, okay, just get it out of morbid curiosity. See what it does, just because cheap, because why not? And the short blades make it more interesting than normal, so yeah, why the hell not? So the low speed right now is actually it's only slightly slower than a K55 with short blades and a 14-degree pitch. Of course, here we have a 20-degree pitch, so it's a bit different. I can already feel air being moved. So this is really not that bad so far. Yeah, needless to say, I'm not really crazy about the XTR Panama. I mean, in later years, I think into like 2010, they still had the motor around, but they were only using it in big fans, which is where it belongs, in big fans. So, I mean, So, let's go up to medium-low. Interesting. I feel like I hear a bit of a harmonic moan to it. The bearings have a little bit of noise to them. A little bit of a whirl. So this is kind of like a pretty fast medium-low. It's kind of like medium with a 52-inch fan. So, definitely feel it. Let's go to medium-high. Now, medium-high is pretty much high speed. Pretty much high speed. If I decide to keep this, I might replace the bearings, but at the same time, this thing also has lots of scratches and scuffs on it. So, And again, if I took an acetone rub to, I'm sure that would take out some of the scratches, maybe. So now let's go to high. Stop it. Yeah. It's wobbling. And it's annoying. It's making the canopy click. Hey, it's an RPM counter, so there you go. Right, so high speed is slightly faster than medium high. It's a very good performance, I will give it that. I think it's doing about 200 RPM. Maybe slightly more. Of course, someone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, because some of you know how to count. But, it's pretty good. For a 42-inch fan, this thing's phenomenal. But is it worth, or was it worth getting the XTR for that extra performance boost? No. No, it wasn't. Really wasn't. But it was a failed experiment, thankfully. I mean, I hated it from the get-go. Because, oh, the K55 has been replaced by this crap? But, thankfully, that was not to be. Now, here's another thing. Let me put it down a speed. Or let's just reverse it, actually. If it wobbles any less than reverse. Yeah, this thing, the thing about the XTR motor, the XTR 200 motor, is a lot of people say it's loud. Okay, I think I figured out what was going on here. I think there are quality control issues with Hunter. Hunter basically made this friggin' thing, and to this day they still use the XTR 200 motor in their quote-unquote industrial fan. They sell at Menards. Ah, Menards! Right, so they still use it. Maybe slightly larger in that application, but thicker, but like, They say the motor is loud. They say it's noisy. This one's actually not that bad. This one's actually pretty quiet. Which leads me to believe that the XTR 200, like the Hunter Air Max, alright, had quality control issues when it came to the hum. Maybe bad varnish. Or something to that, you know, something to that effect. Because, I mean, aside from the bearing noise, okay, which is just a sign of, you know, wear and tear, there's no hum, there's nothing really too loud about this motor. So maybe I got a good one. Okay, so, but that just goes to show Hunter is kind of, shitty. The quality control during this period in the 2000s was not that good, evidently. Because some of the motors are buzzy. Like, I have a Hunter Wellesley with an Air Max, and it hums loud. Like, really, really loud. Like, louder than a normal CEI spinner motor in any other Hunter, right? Like, and other Air Maxes aren't like that. Like, there's a Stratford in my mom's bedroom. Doesn't do it like that. It's not loud. So, yeah, quality control. That's what it was. So this thing, I was expecting worse in terms of loudness, but pleasant surprise here, actually. So let me turn it to oof. I do like the 4-speed pull chain. I do, because basically, I just like 4 speeds. 3 speeds, everything's 4-speed now, except like from Hunter. All their fans are 4-speed. All the Casablancas, starting in 07, were 4-speed, at least with pull chain. You know, but yeah, those days are long past, and Casablanca's nothing but a name. It's barely clinging to life. And there you have it. A Casablanca Panama with an XTR 200 and short blades. That spin down time was rather short, which means these bearings probably need to be replaced. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed.